Romans 7:20. Now if I do that, I would not. It is no more that I that do it, but sin that dwelleth in me. The phrase, now if I do that, I would not, is very similar to verse 17, but with one distinct difference. In verse 17, Paul is establishing the fact of the sin nature in the life of the believer. In verse 20, he begins his teaching by declaring, in essence, that the sin nature is powerful because a particular law enforces its activities. As we will see, this law mentioned by Paul is not the law of God, but rather the law of sin and death. Romans 8:2. The phrase, it is no more I that do it, but sin that dwelleth in me, emphatically states that the believer has a sin nature. The idea is not getting rid of the sin nature, which actually cannot be done, but rather controlling it, which the apostle has told us how to do in Romans 6 and 8. Romans chapters 6 and 8. Dwelleth, the word dwelleth in the Greek is oikio, and means to occupy a house, reside, remain, to cohabit. In other words, the sin nature will remain in the believer until the trump sounds, and the believer is then glorified, and then and then alone will this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. 1 Corinthians 15:53. However, though it does remain in the believer, even with a powerful law attached to it, which makes it very effective, ideally it is to be isolated from the believer, causing him no problem, and in fact is, as long as the believer is fully trusting Christ. That's found in Galatians 2:20. As should be obvious, the 20th verse shoots down the idea held by many preachers that there is no such thing as a sin nature.